Hey, what's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk about the Tempest Rush monk build. I've had a couple people ask me about this build and how do I build one of these monks and what kind of gear do I need to make this build work. So a couple things I want to talk about first is it's definitely not the cheapest build to make. So if you're on the budget, it's going to be hard to build up one of these Tempest Rush monks, and it's not sustainable on the higher monster powers. Like you're not going to be blowing through monster power 10 with this build. It's definitely designed for the lower monster powers to simply gain experience for and level your monk up super quickly. It is definitely one of the fastest builds for experience gain for any of the classes actually. So definitely want to check out this build if you're looking to level up your monk super quick. Uh, what you're trying to do here in this build is Tempest Rush. As you can see, it costs 10 spirit while channeling. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your spirit regen to 10 plus so that when you Tempest Rush around like I am right now, you can see that my spirit is just hovering there. It's not really moving down very much. Well, it's moving down a little bit because I don't have my mantra on, but if I were to put my mantra on, it would just stay still there. So that's part of it. That's what you need to do. Also, I'm showing you guys this on the public test round because there's been some buffs to the Tempest Rush and Sweeping Wind. Tempest Rush base weapon damage has been increased from 85% to 155%, so that's a pretty big buff for Tempest Rush itself. And then Sweeping Wind, your other main source of damage, it's been increased from 15% per stack to 20% per stack as its base weapon damage, and Cyclone, the rune that you should be using with it, has been increased from 20% per stack to 26% per stack. So that's pretty big, and that's why I wanted to show this off on the public test round because those buffs are pretty big, and it definitely makes the Tempest Rush monk even more viable than it already was. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of our skills. We're going to talk about the primary skills first of all. So as your primary skill, I would highly suggest getting Fist of Thunder with the Thunderclap rune. Now this is pretty much one of the best primary skills you can choose for this build. Feel free to choose whatever skill you like best, but I suggest this one. The next skill we're going to talk about, of course, is one of the mandatory skills you definitely need, Tempest Rush. That's what the build revolves around. And you're going to want the Tailwind Rune because that increases the movement speed of Tempest Rush by 25%. That's pretty big, and it's what makes the Tempest Rush monk so quick. So you definitely don't want to really choose any of these other runes for that. As far as mantras go, there's a couple different options here. I like Mantra Conviction with the Submission rune, which gives it a damage over time effect. Of course, another rune that's really good in here is Overawe, which just basically increases the damage that enemies take. Damage is a little bit harder to come by in this build, so I really like Mantra of Conviction. However, if you're looking for a little bit more spirit regeneration and want to drop some of the spirit regeneration off of your gear, you can get Mantra of Healing with the rune. Which one is it here? It is Circular Breathing, which increases the spirit regeneration by 3 per second, which is a lot of spirit regeneration considering we only need 10 plus. But then you sacrifice a lot of damage, and yeah, I don't really think it's worth it considering you can get all that spirit regeneration on your gear. Another one you could consider is the one that gives life on hit, so you can get a little bit of extra damage if you're having some trouble surviving. But once again, I still think Mantra of Conviction with the Submission rune is the best one for me. Now, as a defensive skill, Blinding Flash with Faith and Light is a very good skill because it does a little bit of extra weapon damage, and when you come across elites, you're going to want to take them down super quick, and giving them the Blinding Flash so they can't attack you is a very effective way of dealing with that. Of course, another skill that's very mandatory is Sweeping Wind with the skill rune Cyclone. Now, I think Cyclone is the best skill rune for you to choose because if you have like critical hit chance over 20%, it's definitely going to be a better choice than say the rune Blade Storm, which is just a little bit more weapon damage than the Cyclone. But if you're getting those Cyclones out when you crit, it's going to be a lot more damage than Blade Storm. So if you got enough crit, definitely go for Cyclone. Now this last skill slot, you can put a lot of different stuff in here. I have Serenity with Peaceful Repose in here. That's because I like having the extra defenses. Of course, you can get the one that increases duration of Serenity to 4 seconds instead of 3 seconds. So that's also a nice skill. But I like the one that heals me for 6,000 to 7,000 or 7,700. So that's pretty good. A couple other skills you can choose in here if you don't feel like you need the more defensive skills in there. You might want to go for something like Dashing Strike, which has also gotten a buff in this last patch. And a really good skill to use for that would be uh, Way of the Falling Star. With after you strike, your speed is increased by 25% for 3 seconds, so that can be pretty helpful for moving around quick. However, it does cost 25 spirit, and if you keep using it too much, you will eventually run out of spirit, even if you have quite a bit of spirit regeneration. Now, another one I've seen people use is Seven-Sided Strike, and this is pretty good for taking out elite packs super quick. You can only use it once every 30 seconds, unless you take the Ruin, which decreases that to 23 seconds, which is pretty nice. And Sudden Assault is pretty good if you just want some extra damage. So if you're looking for a more offensive skill, want to take down those elite packs pretty quick, Seven-Sided Strike's pretty good. I've also heard of some people using Cyclone Strike, which pulls all the enemies in, and then you can kill them pretty quick with your Fists of Thunder. Um, there's Eye of the Storm is pretty good because it reduces the spirit cost of Cyclone Strike, and it does cost 50 spirit for this skill, so it's pretty hefty, and that's why I don't like it. To learn this build, though, sorry, my voice just keeps blah, blah. Basically, to learn this build, I would suggest taking the double defensive passives because it's a really good way to learn the build without dying too often. Because when I started learning this build, I was definitely dying quite a lot. So now we're going to talk about the passive skills here. Passive skills, we're basically looking for things that give us more spirit regeneration, because spirit regeneration is a must for this build. So we got Exalted Soul, which gives us one extra spirit regeneration and gives us some maximum spirit, which is nice. Chant of Resonance, which is good, which increases all your mantras to 7 minutes, and while your mantras are active, you gain 2 spirit per second. So that's why I needed that mantra active to have my spirit regenerating properly back there. So that's a very good one to choose. And then Guardian Path. So if you're using a two-handed weapon, all spirit generation is increased by 35%. Now that's pretty big, and that's why we're using a Scorn in this build. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and look at the rest of our gear that we need to make this build work. Now, as you can see here, this is probably one of the most mandatory items you need, which is Ina's Radiance. It gives anywhere, I think you can get around 2 spirit regeneration off it. I got one with 1.9 spirit regeneration, which is pretty good. Another you want the Zephyrium Amulet, I believe is how you pronounce that, and it has 2 spirit regeneration on it. You can get a little bit more, but that's really good for the spirit regeneration. I go for Ina's Set because it gives an extra 0.33 spirit regeneration. However, you don't really need that, but the 4 set is nice with life per spirit spent and reducing the cost of Sweeping Winds by 70 spirit. So that allows you to just pretty much spam Sweeping Winds because it only costs 75 spirit. And as you can see, if I were to just keep clicking this here or press it down with my button, um, I'm not losing any spirit right there. My spirit regeneration is more than enough to keep spamming that. Another spirit regeneration thing that you really need is you need a Soge. And cold damage is really nice because Tempest Rush is physical damage, so it'll slow any enemies down as you hit them. And you want to get the one that has a critical chance, increases the critical hit chance of Tempest Rush by 5%. You can get that all the way up to like 8% or something like that, but they are pretty pricey, especially if you want the cold damage. As far as the rest of your gear goes, you're definitely going to want the Scorn to go with that passive skill. So it is nice to get one with lifesteal on it if you can, but they're really expensive. So I just suggest going for high dexterity, high vitality, high critical hit damage, and high base weapon damage, and just get as much damage on that Scorn as possible. One thing I forgot to mention on this amulet, what I found to be very helpful is having life after each kill. Because I don't have any life on hit, I don't have any life steal, and life after each kill is actually very sustainable for this build. Since you're playing on a low monster power, you're constantly killing enemies, and life after each kill is all I needed to survive. So I suggest trying to get some life after each kill on this amulet. It has really helped me, and it definitely helped my survivability quite a bit. Um, Having no life on hit or life steal is really hard, but life after each kill is very effective. And as far as the rest of the gear goes, you can have like some gloves with critical hit chance, critical hit damage, some dexterity, maybe a little bit of all resistances if you want, or attack speed. Some Vile Wards are always a pretty nice option. We got some bracers here with just some dex, vitality, armor, resistances, and critical hit chance. Those are pretty nice. And then, I like doing the four-piece Ina set, like I said, because it gives you extra spirit regeneration and life on spirit spent and reduces the cost of sweeping wind. So that's what I went for. Boots, it's good to get some with movement speed. You can get the 60, or you can get all resistances, high dexterity, high vitality, and some movement speed. So that's always helpful. And then why I like the Ina's Temperance is it also gives movement speed as well. So that gives me my 24% movement speed between these two items, and that does make up for quite a bit. So to summarize here, we got our Ina's Radiance for spirit regeneration, which gives 1.9 spirit regeneration. We got our Zephyrium Amulet, which gives 2.0 spirit regeneration. We have our Ina's Set bonus, which gives us 0.33 spirit regeneration, and we have our Stone of Jordan, which gives us 1.43 spirit regeneration. So that gives us a total of 5.66 spirit regeneration. That's definitely not enough to sustain this build, but combined it with our passives, we have the extra 1 for Exalted Soul, we have the extra 2 for Chant of Resonance, and then if we times that by add the extra 35% we get from using a two-handed weapon, that gives us 11.6 spirit regeneration, which is more than enough to constantly use this Tempest Rush without losing spirit. And so it's really good in that matter, and that's what you're trying to aim for, is to get 10 plus spirit regeneration, and you can do that with the gear and the skills that I showed you there. Now we're going to get into a little bit of gameplay now, and I'm going to talk about a couple things as we go along. So see you guys there. Alright guys, so we got some of the gameplay here. As you can see, this build is incredibly quick. You move at a very quick speed. It's very easy to take down these elite packs. What you want to do is you want to pop Blinding Flash, and then you want to hit them with Fist of Thunder. And of course, since there's two elite packs here, I do pop Serenity as well. Just that extra defensive passive is very nice, especially if you find a couple of elite packs in quick succession. So that's really good. It does take a little bit of practice to get this build going, but once you do practice enough, you will get used to it. All you really got to do is make sure you got your mantra up, you got your sweeping winds up, and then you just need to pop those defensive cooldowns once you get to the elite packs, and you should be good. Having that life after each kill is very helpful because you are killing stuff almost all the time, and it is very easy to do that. As you can see right there, I actually found one of the new gem plans in the PTR. Of course, like I said, this is the PTR, so I'm not getting any of this stuff. It's just I thought it'd be good to test this out on the PTR since the monk did get a bunch of buffs in this last patch, and you can see them here. This build is very good. I have a lot of fun with it. It's great if you just want to hold down one button, watch some TV while you play, maybe watch a stream, something like that. So I have a lot of fun with that. Like I said, just holding down that Tempest Rush, popping those defensive cooldowns when you need to, and keeping those Sweeping Wind and your Mantra active, which is pretty easy. As you can see, I forgot to mention this, but I am only on Monster Power 0. That's because I don't really have enough Monster Power or enough damage to step up the Monster Power. If I could, I would put it at Monster Power 1 or 2 if I got a little bit more damage, but I'm not quite there, so I'm sticking with Monster Power 0, and it is pretty good. It works out very good for me at that low Monster Power level. Anyway, that's almost about it for this video. So if you guys have any comments or have any questions, have any concerns, need any help with this build, anything like that, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I do read through all the comments, and it's actually one of my favorite things about YouTubing is reading all the comments and getting your guys' feedback and that sort of thing. So definitely leave all that in the comments. I'm definitely looking forward to that. If you guys have any additions to this build as well, you can leave them in the comments. I'm just telling you guys to leave it in the comments like 5 times in a row there. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.